The average Social Security benefit in the United States is approximately $1,900 per month. For many retirees, that is not enough to cover living expenses in their area. The gap between what Social Security provides and what retirement actually costs is where most financial stress in later life originates. There are retirees who fill that gap without returning to full-time work. They do it through strategies that use time, skills, or assets they already have. This video ranks 5 of those approaches. Each is measured by how reliably it generates $2,000 per month without requiring a full-time schedule. The number 1 strategy on this list will not be what most people expect. Before the countdown, here is how the ranking works. 3 factors determine each position. The first is income reliability. How consistently does this approach produce $2,000 per month, and how stable is that income over time? The second factor is startup cost, meaning how much capital or upfront investment the strategy requires to begin. The third is time commitment. How many hours per week does this realistically require to maintain the target income level? Every strategy on this list must be achievable without working more than 25 hours per week. Beyond that threshold, it stops being retirement supplemental income and becomes another job. $2,000 per month is the target. That figure covers approximately the gap between Social Security income and full living expenses in a median-cost American city. Several strategies on this list can scale well above it. Number 5 is part-time employment in industries that offer flexible scheduling and wages above the minimum. This is the most accessible strategy on the list. It belongs at the lower end for a clear reason. It trades time directly for dollars with no upside beyond the hourly rate. A retiree working 20 hours per week at a typical hourly wage reaches the monthly target. That works, but it leaves no room for growth and does not use the retiree's career experience. Industries that work well at this level share common traits: retail management, healthcare support, administrative work at professional firms, and seasonal positions all offer predictable scheduling without year-round commitment. A retired accountant who works at a tax preparation service from January through April can hit $2,000 per month during those months without committing to full-year hours. The earning ceiling is fixed. A wage of $20 per hour is a common starting rate in this category. At that rate, a part-time schedule reaches roughly $1,600 per month. A rate of $25 per hour on that same schedule hits the monthly target. Above that level, the role typically requires more hours than the strategy allows. For retirees who want structure, routine, and a fast start, part-time employment is the clearest path. The trade-off is that the income stops the moment the hours do. Number 4 is selling products through online marketplaces. This includes platforms for handmade goods, vintage items, resold merchandise, and digital downloads. The income range for this approach varies more than any other strategy on this list. A seller with a consistent niche and a built-out catalog can generate $2,000 or more per month. The required schedule is roughly 15 hours per week. A seller who never identifies a reliable product earns substantially less. Sellers who work with categories they already understand tend to outperform those who learn from scratch. Antiques, specialty hobby equipment, handmade textiles, and locally sourced goods are common areas where retirees already have existing knowledge. Digital products are a distinct category within this approach. A retiree with professional expertise in accounting, engineering, law, or healthcare can create templates, guides, or reference materials and sell them repeatedly without additional production cost. A digital guide priced at $30, selling at modest monthly volume, covers the income target entirely. The work is done once and the income continues. Platform fees typically take around 15% of gross revenue. On $2,000 in monthly sales, the net after fees still clears the income target. Higher monthly sales push net income comfortably above the target. The target is reachable at moderate volume. Building a marketplace presence from zero takes time. Most sellers do not reach consistent monthly income within the first 3 months. The income requires patience to establish, but it does not require ongoing hourly output once a product catalog is built. Number 3 is teaching and tutoring, an option that most retired professionals overlook. The United States has a persistent shortage of qualified tutors at every academic level. High school students preparing for standardized tests pay up to $80 per hour for subject expertise. College students pay comparable rates for technical subjects. Adult learners pursuing professional credentials pay even more for instruction from someone with direct industry experience. A retired professional in any technically demanding field has knowledge that is in direct demand. The relevant credential is not a teaching license. It is demonstrable competence in the subject. Online tutoring platforms allow experienced adults to offer instruction without formal certification requirements. Consider a retired professional tutoring at $50 per hour. 4 hours of daily sessions at that rate produces meaningful daily income. Over a standard work month, the total reaches $4,000. The hourly rate is more than double what part-time employment typically offers at the same weekly schedule. Teaching through a recorded online course is a variation of the same approach. A course on a technical or professional subject earns passive revenue after the initial recording is complete. The production effort is real, but the income does not require continued hourly work once the course is live. The common objection from retired professionals is that they do not consider themselves teachers. That distinction matters less than most expect. Platforms handle student acquisition. The subject expert handles the instruction. Number 2 is rental income, specifically from assets that many retirees already have but have not converted into income. The most common version is renting a spare bedroom or additional unit through a short-term rental platform. A retiree with a spare room can generate over $1,000 per month by hosting guests, depending on location and occupancy. Major metropolitan areas and tourist destinations produce higher rates. A full second property generates higher income but requires more management. In active rental markets, a second property can produce net income above $2,000 per month after fees and maintenance costs. In high-demand markets, the figure is substantially higher. Assets beyond real estate also qualify. A retiree who owns a recreational vehicle can rent it through a peer-to-peer platform when it is not in personal use. In active seasons, that generates roughly $1,000 or more per month without ongoing time investment. A homeowner with unused garage space in an urban area can rent a parking spot for up to $400 monthly with no management required. The core advantage of rental income is that it does not require trading hours for dollars. Once an asset is listed and operational, income continues at low ongoing time cost. The primary barrier is owning the asset, which many retirees already do. Number 1 on this list is freelancing using professional skills accumulated over a working career. This strategy ranks first because it is the only approach that can consistently reach $2,000 per month in the fewest hours while requiring no capital to begin. A retired professional with 10 or more years of experience in a field commands consultant-level rates on the open market. Accounting, legal review, engineering, and healthcare advisory are fields where experienced practitioners earn over $100 per hour as independent contractors. That rate range is broadly verified by freelance platform data. Consider a retired professional billing at $75 per hour. 10 weekly hours at that rate covers the monthly income target. The monthly income in that scenario reaches roughly $3,000. Specialists with deeper experience often charge $100 per hour or more. At that rate, the monthly total reaches $4,000. The monthly target is achievable in under 7 hours per week at these rates. The perception that freelancing requires starting from zero is overstated for retired professionals. Most have existing networks, former employers, and former clients who represent an immediate source of referrals. The first project rarely begins from a cold start. It typically comes from someone who already knows the work. Professional freelance platforms exist in almost every field. Accountants, attorneys, engineers, and consultants can establish profiles on these platforms and receive inbound project inquiries without active marketing. Many retired professionals who explore this path find that incoming project volume exceeds what they want to take on. The ceiling on this approach is unusually high. A freelancer targeting $2,000 per month can generally achieve it. Someone targeting $10,000 per month can frequently do that as well, by adjusting hours or raising rates. The floor and ceiling are both set by the individual, which is the defining advantage of this strategy over every other option on this list. Every strategy on this list produces $2,000 per month or more for real retirees in the current market. The difference between them is not whether they work, it is how much control the retiree retains, how much capital the strategy requires, and how quickly the income begins. Part-time employment starts immediately but has a fixed ceiling and trades time directly for money. Marketplace selling takes months to build but generates ongoing revenue with limited hourly output once established. Teaching starts relatively quickly and pays well above typical hourly employment rates for professionals. Rental income is the most passive of the active strategies and scales with the assets already owned. Freelancing starts fastest for experienced professionals and pays the most per hour of work. The retiree who chooses the wrong strategy is usually the one who picked based on what seemed easiest rather than what matched their actual skills and assets. A retired engineer who tries to sell handmade goods online is walking past a consulting market that pays 40 times the hourly rate for engineering expertise. The right strategy matches who you already are, not which approach sounds most appealing in a description. For most retired professionals, that is strategy number 1. If this gave you a clearer picture of what is actually possible in retirement, subscribe to this channel. We publish one video every week examining money, careers, and the math behind decisions that most people never calculate carefully. Sources are listed in the description.